everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. United have beaten Roma 6-2. I thought we were going to get 7 at one point there, just like we did last time we played them at Old Trafford. Unbelievable turnaround, 2-1 down at half time, and played some fantastic football in the second half. Absolutely brilliant football. First half, we were 2-1 down at half time, but we weren't second best in the first half. It didn't surprise me that it surprised me that we scored 6 goals in the air, but it didn't surprise me that we overtook the game in the second half. Although we were 2-1 down at half time, the first half was pretty much like the Leeds game. I thought at the I said this on my fan cam with Flex. It was pretty much like the Leeds game where they were playing pretty poorly, but we were playing pretty poorly, and they just starting to get a bit of the luck of the draw. I thought to get to actually get 2 goals compared to our 1 goal, by the way, was a great goal in that half. So it didn't surprise me one bit that we turned it round and took over the game. Obviously, like I say, it surprised me that we did get 6 in the end. Interestingly, I heard him say on BT, the first team to score 6 in a European semi-final. I think they must mean in one leg of a European semi-final, surely. Surely plenty of teams have scored 6 over 2 legs. But they did say the first team to score 6 in a European semi-final since Real Madrid did it in 1964. So that's a long time ago. So that was a fantastic performance in the second half. I was interested to hear what Ollie said about Paul Pogba. He said that he's the position... Paul's position today, he's very good in that position because he's allowed some freedom, the manager said about him. I've said a few times since he's played there that I do like him playing wide on the left. I believe we play better football. I believe when he plays there than when maybe Marcus plays there. He's a different type of player, completely different type of player. Sees the passes better, gets the ball moving more quickly, and he was. I'm going to go through the goals shortly, but he was heavily instrumental in so much that was good about United's game. A few people have criticised me from my discussion with Flex after the game, where I wasn't too complimentary about Bruno. Obviously, Bruno to me, he's often a player who tries the difficult pass. And I've said time and time again, when he keeps it simple, it's much, much better. And I've also said plenty of times that I believe football's infectious. When you've got players in your team that are playing the game in the right manner, it rubs off on the other people. Now, Paul, obviously, because of the McTominay and Fred combination that the manager prefers to go with, doesn't always get in the side in what people regard him as his best position. He rarely gets in the side. It's only when somebody gets a rest that he plays there. And even then, sometimes it's Matic who gets a game there if someone gets a rest. So he doesn't often play in the position that most people would regard as Paul Pogba's favourite position or his best position. So he gets played on. He's getting played on the left wing quite a lot. When he plays on the left, he gives us that something different rather than just running. I mean, he ran at players and made the first goal by doing so. But he plays with his head up and sees the passes better, and we can play much better football with Paul playing in that position. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. I mean, obviously, there's not much left of this season. Hopefully, he's still with us next season, and I think we'll see a hell of a lot of Paul Pogba playing in that position. So, to the people that have said to me, you're not complimenting Bruno. Bruno's not been playing well lately. Even the biggest of Bruno fans, I think, would agree with that. But last night it was better. And the reason that I'm giving most of the compliments, as I did on my fan cam to Pogba and Cavani, is I believe that they're the catalyst that gets us playing like that. We don't often play like that. How often do we play like that we did in the second half yesterday? And I believe most of it is down to Pogba and Cavani. That's how I see it. I'm adamant that that's the case, by the way. Absolutely adamant. Those two players are just a different level. And I believe that rubs off on the other players. Now, Bruno shows that he can play like that when he's playing with those two players. But when you're playing with other players, you shouldn't change your game and think I'm going to play like they do, or I'm going to shoot too often, or I'm going to try difficult passes too often. You should still play the game in the best manner. And then when other players are doing that around you, it rubs off on you and helps you to play like that. So I believe the catalyst for us playing like that is Paul playing in Marcus's position on the left, and obviously Cavani playing as well, who also is another player who doesn't play often enough. I don't know whether he's fit enough to play every game. Maybe he isn't. I don't know exactly what the situation is. But when I was speaking to Flex on my fan cam, we spoke quite a lot about the goals that were scored, and we couldn't remember there and then straight after the game who was involved in exactly which goals. And it's amazing how much Cavani was involved, and how much Pogba was involved, but also how much Bruno was involved. I mean, I know when you think about off the top of your head, you know they're involved in the goals, but when you go through it, the first goal was where Pogba held two men off. He received the ball, I think, from a throw-in. He held two men off, burst through a gap and passed another man, and then where some players then come, he's left three players for dead. It's sort of brilliant run. He's left three players for dead. Lots of our other players will be thinking, I'm going to fire at goal, or I'm going to try and get myself in the box. But he's playing with his head up. He gives it to Cavani, and Cavani plays a lovely first time passing behind to Bruno, and Bruno finished it lovely, and that was a fantastic goal. The second goal, another brilliant goal. Pogba plays it into Cavani. Cavani gives it to Bruno, gets himself in the box. Bruno gives it back to Cavani, and that's the one where he volleys it into the top corner. That was the second goal. The third goal, Pogba starts to move off really with a ball around the corner from his own half into Cavani, and then gets upfield to support it. And there's a few passes involved before we get. It's the one where he follows up, where Cavani follows up from the keeper dropping Wan-Bissaka's shot. But what happens then? Pogba gets further up the field. Sure, sideways passes, by the way. You've got to keep the ball as best you can. There's three sideways passes. One of them's on an angle, but two definite sideways. And really, the third one's at least sideways or slightly at an angle forwards. But Shaw gives a sideways pass to Paul Pogba. Pogba takes a touch and looks inside, and he has to get it between two men. It's a great pass, and he gives it to Bruno. Now, it's a sideways pass by Shaw. It's a sideways pass by Pogba. This is what I'm talking about infectious. Bruno then receives the ball 5 or 6 yards outside the box with a little bit of space in front of him. Regularly, you would see Bruno shoot from that sort of position. But what does he do? He looks to the side, and he sees Wan-Bissaka free, and he gives a sack. It's on an angle, but it's a sideways pass, really. It's a sideways pass to Wan-Bissaka that puts... So there's three sideways passes. It's infectious. Keep the ball moving. He gives it to Wan-Bissaka, who has a shot. Keeper fumbles it. I thought that reserve keeper was poor, by the way. And Cavani followed it up. The fourth goal was the penalty. That was we won the penalty. A fantastic long ball by Luke Shaw. What a ball as he's running with the ball, and he plays a long ball over the top diagonally in front of Marcus, and Marcus gets hold of it, plays it across, and Cavani's in at the near post, and I don't think it's a penalty. I've listened to Owen Hargreaves after the game and Paul Scholes. They both don't think it's a penalty. I've spoken about my fan cam. I disagreed with Flex. I said I don't think it's a penalty. Flex didn't agree. Flex thought it was a pen. Not a pen for me, but Paul Scholes and Owen Hargreaves both saw it that way as well. It shouldn't be a penalty. As Paul Scholes said, you've got to slide in there to try and block that shot. They both missed the ball. It's not a genuine foul. They just both missed the ball and they collide with each other and go behind a dead ball line. I think Scholes said something along the lines of, if you're going to give penalties for that, you'll get 2 or 3 penalties every game. But even so, we got the penalty, and it was Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford that were involved in that build-up, and obviously Bruno scored it. The fifth goal was Pogba's header, brilliantly taken header from it was a short corner where Luke Shaw passed it to Bruno, and Bruno whipped it in first time. Brilliantly taken header by Pogba. And the sixth goal, Bruno won the ball back in the left back spot, or he got onto a loose ball in the left back area and had advanced left back area just inside our half. He lobbed the ball over one of their players to Cavani, and Cavani played the outside of the foot pass to Greenwood across the field, and Greenwood took it brilliantly. So that was the 6 goals. So we couldn't remember that many goals. We couldn't remember exactly how they were scored and who was involved in which goals when we were on the fan cam. But just going through that, Cavani scored twice, assisted twice, and won a penalty. So heavily involved in 5 out of 6 goals. Pogba scored 1, didn't get a direct assist, but was heavily involved. And it's this passing movement that we've got when he's there. He was heavily involved in 3 of the build-ups without actually getting an assist. But still, 1 goal and, like I say, 3 goals that he was heavily involved in the build-up. But get this, Bruno, I didn't give him as much praise as I did give to Cavani. All that I gave to Pogba on the fan cam. But Bruno scored 2, assisted 2, and was involved in the build-up of the other 2. So Bruno was involved in all 6 goals. So I do owe him an apology in that manner, but I do not take it back that he should play like that no matter who he's playing with. That's what you need. And like I've just said, I think I've already said it twice, the catalyst are Pogba and Cavani. And Bruno needs to play like that, whether they're playing or not, because obviously they don't always play. A lot of people took great delight on Twitter pointing out what a poor game Chris Smalling had. It's 1 game. People have got short memories. People are so... I can't think of the right word, but they're so judgmental, if you like, about 1 game, as if that proves that you're a great player, or it proves that you're a poor player. Look, it's a team game. We absolutely swarmed all over him. Absolutely swarmed all over him in that second half. People saying, oh, you think he's better than Harry Maguire? I did say that when we first got Harry Maguire, and I don't think Harry Maguire did have a great start to his career. And Smalling, I thought, was a perfectly good servant for United, and I still think he's a good player, and you are allowed to have a poor game. But how much of a poor game did he actually have? When your team is getting swarmed all over, you've got that much defending to do. You're bound to make some mistakes. You're absolutely bound to. They weren't swarming all over us. We were swarming all over them. So think of it this way. I know I often talk about the butterfly effect. So if you do change anything, everything can change. I do get that. And it's also a true thing that goals change games. So if you only stop 1 goal, if you stop the first goal or the second goal, it might not end up 4, 5 or 6. So lots of things can change if you change a player. But would it have affected our ability to win that game 6-2 if Chris Smalling would have been playing centre-half for us and one of our centre-backs would have been playing for them? Because I don't think, the way we swarmed all over them, I don't think if they had Maguire or Lindelof playing at centre-back for them, they would have made that much of a difference. I really don't. It's a team game. You've got to defend as a team, and to pick out a player just because somebody else has said, he's a good player, and to say, it's not his fault that it ended up 6-2, and it's not his fault. It's definitely not his fault. Even if he's at fault with a couple of goals, it's definitely not his fault that the team were getting swarmed up absolutely all over him in that second half. So there is that. If you'd have swapped in for one of our centre-backs, we still would have been the dominant team. They still would have had the backs to the wall throughout that second half. Obviously, we'll never know what score it would have ended, but it wouldn't have affected our chances of still winning 6-2 if we would have swapped one. A couple of other things we've let sit on that same subjects, if you like. We've let 6 in once this season. I know it was a few months ago now against Spurs, but we have let 6 in once. These things do happen. Liverpool got beat 7-2 at Aston Villa. Virgil van Dijk was playing for Liverpool in that game. Does that mean Virgil, people are laughing on Twitter saying how terrible is it? Does that make Virgil van Dijk a terrible defender? They've also had another centre-back, Gomez, out for most of the season as well. Virgil van Dijk and Gomez were both fit and both playing in that game, and Villa scored 7 against them. Does it make them 2 terrible defenders? Does it, heck? And I'd also like to just mention, look, I'm not saying these are world beaters, but the proper decent centre-backs, the Southampton pair, Bednarek and Vestergaard, they both played when Leicester beat Southampton 9-0, and they also both played when United beat Southampton 9-0. Now, they're both the centre-backs. They've both been on the end of 2 9-0 defeats in the Premier League. If it was their fault, they probably wouldn't be playing professional football now, let alone playing for Southampton in the Premier League. You can't be getting beat 9-0 and it being your fault. So all the people who were criticising Smalling and basically saying it proves that he's a terrible player, they don't really understand the game, and they're not. They're just being completely unfair. They just think it's funny, really, that we've won 6-2 and there's a player playing in the game that I've said's a good player. It's not all down to him, it really isn't. Just like it wasn't all down to Van Dijk and Gomez at Villa Park, and it wasn't all down to Bednarek and Vestergaard either when they were playing for Southampton in 2 9-0 defeats. On a similar subject, I've already mentioned that Pogba and Bruno. I've mentioned this one before. One or two people saying, Rick the Red said Pogba and Bruno can't play together. I've said this before, I've got to be honest, I didn't think about Pogba playing on the left wing. When we were having that conversation before the ball was even kicked this season, might have even been last season, we were talking about him playing in central midfield. Even Bruno doesn't really play in central midfield, he's playing as a number 10. Some people regard that as an attacking midfield player. There's plenty of top coaches regard the number 10 as a support striker. He's more or less playing up front, according to a lot of top coaches. So they're not playing. McTominay and Fred are our 2 central midfield players. So when I was saying that I don't think it'd work with Pogba and Bruno, I would still stick by that. If you're going to play those 2, if we would drop McTominay and Fred tomorrow and play Pogba and Bruno as our 2 central midfield players, as the manager said after the game, playing up there on the left wing, he's got more freedom, Pogba. Bruno's got more freedom playing at number 10. Playing as central midfield players with lots of defensive duties to do, it wouldn't be quite the same thing. So I just thought I'd try and clear the air of a couple of things that I spoke about. Obviously, a little bit unfair, definitely unfair on Bruno in my fan camp, not giving him more credit. As I say, I do believe it's Pogba and Cavani that have got the team playing in that better manner. And then obviously as well, a little bit of, I wanted to just mention everybody on Twitter talking about Smalling. I haven't had time yet to watch the game. I am going to do a player rating show, but I just thought I'd do a little show this morning just to clear that up. It's Liverpool this weekend. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what he's got to say about the lineup, whether there'll be any changes. I don't see any reason for him to change the team on Sunday. If players need a rest, they don't need to play in the second leg. They do not need to. Anybody who needs a rest, they can have a rest all week. I'm sure there'd only be 2 or 3 that he'd need to leave out. So whoever he wants to pick on Sunday against Liverpool, he should pick him, and no thought given to the Roma game next Thursday, sorry. And another good thing about that 6-2 lead as well, by the way, I don't even know if we have got anybody, but if we've got any players who are a yellow card away from missing the final, he should definitely not even take them to Rome, just give them the week off. That's what I'd do. So that's that for this morning. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.